Here we go. Let's wait a few minutes for people to show up. I imagine Rajat's already here. And today, he is not here, but we're going to give him a special shout out. My wife's cousin Gabe has decided that he wants to make the transition from his IT specialist role that he's in right now. He works sort of for conferences and setting up the computer system for conferences, and he wants to move into programming, which is really exciting and fun, or an IT session. So it's a very big hello, Gabe, to you. If you're going to catch up with these on your own, let me see. We should hold on. Oh, there's Rajat. Yeah, and good luck to Gabe. There we go. He's not actually watching live. He's in transit right now, but he says he's going to hop in and watch the show on the YouTube playback because it goes on to the YouTube channel and whatever. So, oh, how are you doing? How was your week? I guess it's 2 weeks. You didn't show up last week, so we have double the information that we're hoping to get from you. Oh, that's right. You messaged me. That's right. But you can tell everybody else. You can tell everybody else that you joined in. And I recall that you were saying that you enjoyed watching Josh participate. And what else? So one of the things that I thought would be interesting is I've set up Visual Studio Code with the live sharing extension, and that can be found here. So if you have VS Code on your machine, let me type that in. If you have VS Code on your machine, busy week. Yes, it was fun watching you all code. Yeah, and you got your first dose with minimal. My first dose hit me like a truck. I was out for 2 days. It was such a. I got the AstraZeneca one, which is apparently more people have been having side effects for. But, I'd have gone through it a dozen times if just to, just to be through all of this thing. But yeah, so I thought when we do get. Oh, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. It was 2 days and it was done. But I thought it would be fun if we tried this. I don't know. Let me see. AstraZeneca represent. No, my wife, who is on the policy team that does the shots, says that, and actually all the research is apparently saying it as well, but if you mix and match AZ with you can. So if you mix and match AZ with, I think it's Pfizer or Moderna, you actually get better coverage than if you just had one of them alone. So it's the mix and match is actually good for you. Here, I'm going to see. Share with read-only means that I can do this safely. You can now start audio calls. I don't need the call because we're watching online. Symptoms might be worse than the first round. Right, okay. Oh, they were really bad for me. They were really bad for me on the first round. Invitation link copied to clipboard. Send it to anyone you trust. Well, it's read-only, so... Oh, wait. There was a button there that said, here, stop this session. So I say, share with read only. And here it is. You say, make read write. No, that was right. So in theory, we want to see if this works. So if anybody has VS Code, this isn't for the first part of the session anyways, but I just want to see if we can do this sort of live team coding where everybody's in on the same window. Oh, yeah, I've already got this. So, invite participants. Shared terminal. No, I'm not going to do that. Shared server. Oh, Rajat, accept. Oh, good. So it lets me invite people in. And this is interesting. I had a Docker. So, new file. Let's see if I can make it read write then. So here, so I can mark you as read write. So Rajat, can you try typing something? Not rude. We'll test that there. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is for. I thought the first half we would actually throw. Why don't I throw on the YouTube video that I picked, anyways, and then while it's installing, we can see what we have. So I'm just going to make sure that the stuff is laid out properly. Theater mode. Yeah, I don't know either. So this is sort of like live debugging. So try clicking on things. You are read write as of now. And as soon as I have this thing queued up and playing, we can sort of have this going in the background. And then we can have the VS Code running at the same time. And the theory is that we can actually sort of pair program on the... Oh, what if I do this? What if I... Sorry. If I move this over to here. What about now? Can you type in here? This might be flawed. I might not be able to do this. Or try joining myself. Oh. Escape to cancel. Recent contacts, suggested contacts. Session ended. Okay. This is the kind of fun stuff that people can sometimes do in advance. Oh, Treebud Academy. Hello. I don't know your real name, but I am super happy that you've joined. For anybody on Twitch, there is... Can you see that coming up in the chat? For anybody in Twitch, there is also... You can also watch this on YouTube. I wonder if that might be Gabe? No, so the chat... Oh, it's Brian. Brian, where do we know each other from? This is funny. The YouTube, or my chat widget, my chat screen display is not showing stuff from YouTube, but it shows stuff on Twitch. I guess what I can do... Oh, wow! Oh, Brian! Okay. I did not think that you would show up for a programming session. There we go. We have other friends from Click who show up from time to time as well. Yeah, I didn't make that connection at all, of course. Brian. Okay. So I do have to figure out how to make sure that the YouTube chat comes up on screen. Now, Rajat, I had a session here for... So this session is in... So I say invite participants. I'm going to paste that and in. So now, Rajat, if you try and join again... we're going to see how do we get shared servers terminal, accept read write from Rajat, and target, then who else? Guest user anonymous. Is that you, Brian, or is that Pebs? We'll accept read only. But we want to find out. I mean, obviously, we don't have that many. Make read write. So, one of us should hopefully find out. So, dock that over on the side. We're trying to figure out how to edit files. Ah, it is Pebs. I don't know. I think you have to log into your. I think you have to log in with your either GitHub or your. Okay, well maybe we're not going to make. Maybe I'm going to keep this on another screen, and maybe we figure it out, and maybe we don't. But this is so. Part one of tonight's plan was always to do. Here. So maybe Pebs will have a chance at, because you have read write access. The theory is that you have the ability to edit things. I just can't see what you're. There. Okay. Anyways, so system design interviews are becoming more and more important nowadays for, especially for senior positions. The way that they work is generally, well, you're going to see it. This is 40 minutes. I believe my audio should have proper desktop again. And let's.
If you work in a team, you should be using Monday.com. It's a platform to manage any team and any.
How would you design Reddit's homepage feed? Hi everybody, and welcome to another mock interview with Exponent. Today we're here with Kevin Jin. Kevin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, nice to meet you guys. My name is Kevin. I am a senior at Vanderbilt studying computer science, and I have interned at a number of different companies, both large and small, such as Google, Tesla, and a couple other small startups. I'm excited for today.
That's fantastic. We're excited to have you, Kevin. So today we're going to be doing a system design question, and my question to you is, how would you design Reddit's homepage feed?
Gotcha. Reddit's homepage feed, just kind of like the first page that you see when you visit Reddit?
Yes, exactly.
Let me think about it for a second, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay, can you tell me, first of all, how many daily users are on Reddit?
Let's say 50 million.
Okay. And, all right. So that's quite a sizable number. From what I know about Reddit's homepage, there are a certain number of posts. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing from various subreddits, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Homepage, and I can't remember how many posts are on the homepage.
Let's go with 25 for now.
Gotcha. So 25 posts on the homepage, and each post is comprised of some kind of content, as well as several links to the full post page. It also has a title. It also shows the number of comments, I think, on the post, just a variety of different metadata. And the post content can be one of several types. I think it was it could be a text post, or it could be a video post, or it could be an image post.
Yeah.
Yeah, should we like design for like all these different like post types?
I think let's focus on text and images for now.
Gotcha, sounds good.
Mm.
Cool. Actually, like let me like mark this down, if
Sure.
that's fine. You sent me like a whimsical link earlier, right?
Yeah.
Can I just like
Let
write
me
my notes on that?
share that. There we go.
Sounds good.
Oh,
Notification, message, email.
No, stop! It's too many apps.
Okay.
here we go. So this is actually a good point to sort of stop and go over what he just did, like what we saw he did in the first portion of the problem. Like, what did you see in terms of the behaviors that were valuable from the system design interview? Or were you too distracted by me doing this VS Code stuff, and maybe we should not do two things at once? User base, right? So he started asking. I think it's really nice to assume. I mean, he kind of, we're all kind of nerdy here, so it's probably pretty clear that he knew what Reddit is and sort of generally how it works, but the clarifying questions are so important in terms of designing the system, especially in the interview process, right? Because you are in a situation, and he started taking notes. I think we're in here as well. We had I don't see it. Anyway, so asking about the user base, how many posts do I have to have on the front page, and kind of let's
So
keep
50
going.
million
Oh, here are the
users.
notes.
25 posts. Like on the home page, or I guess like per page. And you said we only have to care about image and text posts right now.
Yes.
All right. And from what I remember, on Reddit, there are like sort of like tabs at the very top, where you can like sort by different settings, like hot, like top, controversial, like etc. Should we like care about all these different like posts, like or like feed sorting methods, or?
Let's not worry too much about the ranking for now. Let's just pretend that whatever posts you see are the top posts of the subreddits that the logged in users subscribed to in the past 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Top posts, 24 hours. All right. Let's see. Oh yeah. So I guess like the Reddit homepage, I think it like looks different for whether you're a logged in user or not. Like if Reddit posts come from like various like subreddits, if you're logged in, you're probably like subscribed to like different like subreddits from compared to like another user, or compared to like the not logged in user, and only posts like from your subscribed subreddits should appear on your homepage. I think that was like the behavior.
Yes.
Should we care about like building like this kind of like homepage like feed for logged in users, or is it fine to just like do like anonymous users?
Let's go with logged in users.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So we have to like think about that too as well during the system design. Consider logged users. Okay. Cool. I think that's all my questions for right now. And I think I can move on to like calculations, if that sounds good.
Okay, I think that sounds good.
Cool. So make another text box right here.
So you want to be a software engineer at Google? Go to algoexpert.io. Pick a question.
So if there's 50 million, it's like daily
Speed
active
this up a
users
little.
that visit Reddit's homepage, and I guess like if each of them like visits like maybe like the homepage like 5 times, if that's like a reasonable number, visits per user, that would be around 250 million like page hits on the homepage. So that's like pretty large, and each page hit would require like loading 25 different posts, 25 posts. So that means just like in a single day, we would have to load 250 million times 25. I already wrote that earlier. Let me just calculate that number real quick. I think it's like 6.2 billion posts. Let's see. And then for every single post, we should also calculate how much like data or like how much memory it would take to like load it.
Yeah.
So every single post has like a title, it has like the number of comments, the number of like awards or like golds, I guess. Let's see. And I guess if it's like a text post, oh right, it also has like the timestamp too. If it's a text post, I think like text posts probably have like usually around like a couple hundred characters, so maybe just like 300 characters. That sounds good for text post. And or if it's an image post, it might have like an image attached to it.
Yeah.
So or image.
How are you assuming the 300 characters value?
I'm just like thinking from my experience like visiting Reddit and like clicking on text posts, like 300 characters is kind of like enough for like 1 or 2 like small paragraphs. And yeah, that's kind of like that's just kind of like been my experience like looking at like Reddit text posts. But like correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to know how you were approaching that. And is this like an excerpt that you would see of a post, or is it the entire contents?
It would be like the entire content.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. And then there's also like the hyperlink to the full post. If you click on this like post on the homepage.
Grammarly does more than catch errors. With Grammarly, you can find...
All right. So I guess we can like start calculating like how much each like piece of like metadata would require in terms of like memory. So the title would be like I'd say around like maybe like 50 characters.
Okay.
And then if we consider like each like character, like string character, to be around like 2 bytes of storage. That would be around like 100 bytes for the title.
Okay.
And then the number of comments, that would just be like an integer value, I'm thinking, and then which would just be like 4 bytes. And then let's see, the number of golds, that would also be like an int, so that'd be like 4 bytes too. The timestamp, that would be it's like float, or maybe like a float value or like big int, be like 8 bytes for that. And then 300 characters for the text content. 300 times 2, that'll be 600 bytes. Images, I think usually like around like 100 or 200 kilobytes. So like 100 like GB. Okay, and the hyperlink to the full post, I think that is also around like maybe like 50 characters, or maybe on the high end like 100. So just as still 100 characters times 2 bytes is equal to 200 bytes. Okay, cool. So when I like visit Reddit, like most of the posts I see are like image posts. Would you know like the the actual distribution of like image to like text posts?
Not really. I don't think I have a number off the top of my head, but let's assume in our world we're going to go 50-50. Let's assume at least half of your posts have an image in them.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
So half of the posts have an image, half don't. And for a single post, or I guess like for 25 posts, let's do single post, like the average amount of data for a single post. That would be 0.5 times 100 plus 4 plus 4 plus 8 plus 100 KB, which is like 100,000. And so that's like 0.5 times 100 plus 4 plus 4 plus 8 plus 600.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think about it for a second. Let me just like plug this into like my calculator real quick.
Sure.
Okay, so like, yeah, honestly, I think like the size of the image takes up like most of like the data required to like store posts. It's like 50.4 KB, which we can just like round down to like 50. So for 6.2 billion posts per day times 50 KB, that's a pretty large number. At least like, yeah, let me see how big that is. 6.2.
Plans inevitably change. With roadmaps in Jira software, quickly adapt and adjust.
I mean, so what we're witnessing here in terms of the broad stage of the interview of the system design interview is calculating scale, right? Like you've been given a task, make sure, and this is by and large this is similar to what you do in the in the job as well at the architecting stage, although depending on where you work, for example, if you work in a agency that does small traffic websites, you don't really have to think. You just throw it up on a machine and it'll handle your traffic. This is the real differentiator of these larger scale system design interviews is to separate the people who are able to think at this level. And yeah, it is way more relevant than random algos. It is way more important now, especially at the senior levels. So what they're saying, at least in the stuff I'm reading, is not only is the system design interview becoming more and more important nowadays, but it has a much higher weight when we're dealing with more senior positions. I think for the most part, we expect when more junior people are coming in, like straight out of university and college, they're going to get an interview process that's more heavily weighted towards just doing a handful of algorithms. Whereas when you're at higher level, if at the 8 to 10 year mark, they're saying, well, I want to know that they understand the broader system more than anything else. That is, except to say, at least at the DoorDash interview I did and the Zynga interview I did, I flunked out before I got to a system design interview because I did not have the algo practice up to speed. So you still need to do the algorithm, but knowing that this system design stuff is coming, it's like almost more important, but it's also useless if you don't have the algos underpinning it. So anyways.
Is there anything that you can do to reduce this number off the bat?
Yeah. I was like first like thinking about like how big this would be. It's like probably like bigger than a gigabyte, right? Gigabyte, terabyte. And I don't know what's next. But yeah, I think first we should like think about like how to reduce like like this value for like a single post. Because yeah, we have to like load like 6 billion posts a day, and each post like 50 like kilobytes around on average. That would be like pretty significant, and probably would not be good for like Reddit's bandwidth, outgoing bandwidth.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I think like when I like visit Reddit, usually I don't see like a full size like image next to like the image post. Instead, like I see like a tiny like thumbnail kind of, and then like I can like click on like this plus button like below it to expand the image if I want to. I'd say like usually like when I visit Reddit, I don't like click on every like single like image post. I just click on like a few that I'm interested in. Yeah, I'm guessing like that's probably like the same for most other users as well. So perhaps what we can do is instead of like sending a full size like image for like every single post on the homepage initially, we can send that like big image on demand once the user decides to enlarge it. But by default, we can just like send like a smaller thumbnail.
Great. Okay. How's that going to affect your calculation?
Yeah, so I think like if we change it to a thumbnail, maybe like 10 kilobytes, just like a low resolution image, that would probably reduce it by like 10x as well. So that each image post or each post on average would be like 5 kilobytes instead of like 50 kilobytes.
Okay.
Yeah. Although like another like additional metadata we would need to have would be like a link to that like full size image in our object store. Cool.
Knowledge is not only power, knowledge is profit, right? The faster you can learn, the faster you can earn.
And I assume that the size for that would be what, similar to the other hyperlink?
Right. Yeah, it would just be like some 100 bytes or so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. Is there anything else I should do for like the calculations? Do you think?
I think this sounds reasonable. So you have a sense for how big each post would be and just how much bandwidth you're going to need if you're loading 25 posts every time someone visits the homepage, right? So this sounds good. Let's move on to the high-level design.
I'm thinking that there will be probably like quite a few services involved in loading like the homepage, and it might be good to split our like system design up into kind of like a microservice architecture where we have multiple different services on like different servers like talking to one another.
Okay.
And that would just like be better in general for like scalability, like fault tolerance, and also like separation of concerns between these different services when like building them.
Okay, let's go with that.
So as for like the different like services we would need for this homepage, I'm thinking just like the default like web server, it's a web server that talks to the client, some application servers that like handles like the different like backend logic, like maybe like a ranking service.
Now, here's one that's a bit orthogonal. It's a bit tangential to the stuff that he's saying, but I think it's an important thing to call out. Is it seems that he has a really super shaky cam, and I find myself wondering if you are going to be doing like an online video interview like this, if you would want to make sure that you paid attention to stuff like camera shake and sound quality and things like that. So anyways, I'm going to keep going, but
that would be in charge of like ranking like the different posts, I guess in our situation, according to like the topmost posts. And let's see what else, maybe like a feed service where that would be in charge of like creating like the Reddit feed for a user service that would be in charge of like keep track of like updating and getting data from like the user database, as well as a post service as well, to like keep track of like new posts and keep track of like fetching posts to display on the homepage. And also I'm thinking of as for like databases, we would need like a DB database for this one, DB for this one, and we would also need a object store to store all the different images. So, I think that's like pretty much it for kind of like the higher level design. I have some thoughts about like the post database as well.
Okay, sure. What are your thoughts on that?
I think like given the number of like posts we want to like the number of like posts like Reddit has, I'm guessing like there's a lot. We would have to like be careful of like how we create this like post database. I'm thinking like we would probably like need some like horizontal scalability, or else it might not be possible to like fit. I'm guessing there's for like hundreds of millions of posts on Reddit into this like database. In that case, I'm also thinking of something like a NoSQL server, because like when like displaying your Reddit like feed on the
yeah, I'll take another second to load up this this article here to bring up Peb's point. There was this article that I found recently, couple of weeks or probably months back. High quality audio makes you sound smarter. There was a study done where they had a physicist give a talk through a sort of garbage, crackly, strained microphone, and then one who had a really good sounding microphone. And that's just linked in the chat. You can read it yourself later. But the bottom line is that low quality audio. Oh, and here are some graphs as well, right? So the low quality audio has a significant impact on your perception of how smart you think you are. So it's an important thing to consider if you are going to be doing these online interviews and things, and you're going to be interviewing over Zoom, that a $50 prosumer microphone, pull one up on Amazon or something just to give you a sense, amazon.ca, and we'll say like USB microphone. I mean, the one that I have is like a $300 microphone. It's the Elgato Wave 3, but I use it for streaming. Whereas something like, you know, one of these guys, or something with a fancy little pop filter, if that makes the difference between you and a 30 like a blue Yeti is a well-known brand, and so you're not really rolling the dice on that. But if a $50 microphone makes the difference between you and a 30% raise, then like that's something to consider. Getting higher quality audio equipment, because again, if it makes, you know, a small difference here, but significant differences in your perceived intelligence, that will make a significant difference in your perceived validity as a hire. So
homepage is probably not as important that everything that you see is like, you know, like the freshest or like most up to date or like the most consistent. So it's NoSQL Server, and we should have some horizontal scalability. And I think we should like scale it in terms of like sharding. So we can like probably like shard the or like distribute the posts across multiple like database shards based on like their post ID. So shard by my post ID. And that would allow us to kind of have like an equal amount of data across all of our shards.
Real estate really, really matters. It's the biggest financial and emotional decision that.
And what's the criteria for sharding here?
What's the criteria? I was just thinking of like, I guess like a simple formula would be like, if like the post ID is just kind of like an integer like value, and the post ID is like an auto-generated like number, we could just like use like something like modulo to distribute to like basically like distribute like this post to like that shard, or this post to like this other like shard. If we have like 100 shards, then it would be something like the post ID mod 100 would belong to that shard. Cool. However, like I guess like usually like modulo, like sharding, like using like something like simple like modulo is not a good solution. If you ever need to like repartition your like databases, like you need to like add a new database to, if you need to like add a new shard to this like database, like
if each of your shards are getting too big or something, in that case, yeah. And
then it would kind of like shift like all like I guess like the modulo values. Like modding like 100, modding like by 101, that would result in like totally different values. So I know there's something like called like what's it called? Yeah, I know there's something called like consistent hashing that we can do to like avoid like having to do that. So we can like increase the number of shards without having to like repartition a lot of our data. Yeah. So can you like cut that like early part out where I just like pause for a little bit?
Okay, yeah, sure.
I really like that. But now that Pebs has said it, I can't look away from seeing him touching his mouth. That's funny.
Yeah. Okay. And
okay, so I think that strategy makes sense, just to so you're accounting for when your shards get too big, and you have a strategy to deal with that if that happens. Okay.
Right. Yeah. All right. Sounds good. And then like the feed service. Actually, before that, I kind of want to like draw out like this like system. That sounds good.
Yep, that sounds good.
We're in the business of identifying, protecting, detecting, responding, and then recovering. The team.
Yeah, that'll help me like visualize too a little bit. So we have like our web servers. Right here, we would have our app servers over here. And then we would have, let's see, I'm thinking like, so the client talks to the web servers, which talks to the application servers, and the application server should pull the like homepage feed from the feed service. I'm thinking. And then the feed service would talk to a couple different services. The ranking service would be one of them to rank different posts. To get the posts themselves, it would have to talk to the post service. And right, the app server should also talk to the users service. Something like that. Something like this. I'm thinking of. And then let me just like connect the lines. Wait, I'm gonna like switch this like arrow, but I can't.
Which arrow?
I got it.
Okay.
Like that. Yeah, I think like the arrows just represent like making like requests to basically.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we also have like a.
Oh no! Oh, where was I?
Or kind of like the higher level design. I have some thoughts about like the
criteria for sharding,
as well.
high level architecture. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, that would be super painful. How did that turn out when the was the manager aware that they were doing that, or was it did all candidate? That must be stressful for candidates too.
Database right here, and also a post database right here. And then our object store, that would be, like right here. The users can just like talk to it directly. Image. Okay. And then, yeah. Let me move this all a little bit. And then this would be like the client who talks to the web servers and who also talks to the host image store.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Oh yeah, I'm also missing load balancers, but I definitely want them to be in here. Let me just, I can just make this triangle. And right, we want to have like load balancers in front of like the web server, in front of like the app server as well. And let's see. Yeah, I feel like. Yeah, I feel like a service would.
Here. Actually, to point out, I don't know if you all know about draw.io, which is the decide later. You can actually, if you are in one of these, I recently had to do one of these where you can just sort of draw your, your person and your cloud, and you can sort of, you can just connect them up like this. Anyways, so draw.io is really useful for doing these things quickly. Yeah, and that's the story.
Probably can consist of multiple servers. Like honestly, I think there should be like those balancers in front of like most of like these like lines, most of these like arrows also, just because we don't want like the system to have like a single source of failure, where if one server goes down, the entire like Reddit homepage can be loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is kind of like the overall design.
Okay. So how are you going to be calculating the top posts with this system?
Yeah. So what I'm thinking of is like the app servers. When the client like makes a request to like the Reddit homepage, it will go to web servers. And then the app servers would like kind of like pull the data from the various other services. It would talk to the user service, like determining like what subreddits this user is subscribed to, and it would talk to the feed service, like passing in those subreddits, and the feed service should generate should like pull like posts appropriately for those subreddits, back, and the feed service should rank them appropriately, and
Okay.
then give them back to the client, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. Although I'm thinking of like with this flow, in order to pull the, I guess like posts across like different subreddits, because we are sharding posts, because we are sharding like the post database by post ID, we would basically have to, like query every single like shard to get the different like posts across like all the subreddits.
Yeah.
Which might be like slightly, which might be like kind of taxing, and maybe there's a better way to do it. Perhaps like we can, instead of like sharding by a post ID, we can shard by like what subreddit that particular post belongs to.
Okay, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, so like if like two posts are created in I guess like the funny subreddit, they would both belong on like the same like post database shard. And that way like say like a user is only subscribed to like a few subreddits, like one of them being funny, or like let's say he's only subscribed to like funny, then we would just have to only query that post database from the feed service instead of like querying like all the different shards.
Yeah. Okay.
So let me just update that shard by
Notifications. Messages. Email.
subreddit.
So the other thing that you notice is when they're talking about how does the ranking happen, at the system design level, you're really open to and welcome to sort of hand wave away like, oh, the algorithm will do it. And you don't have to specify the actual algorithm. You're really talking about how these large systems are talking to each other and not specifically like, how do I solve this low level thing? That's something to figure out later.
ID. Although like a problem with like sharding by subreddit is that some subreddits have a lot more posts than like other subreddits, and that can result in just like some shards being much larger than other shards.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think in that case maybe we can just like have like some like functionality where if a shard gets too big, we can like split it into like 2 different shards. We can like break it up, and then like with our consistent hashing that we talked about earlier, it wouldn't be too difficult to like move some of that data like from that shard onto like the new shard.
Okay, that sounds good. How would you be avoiding stale data?
I think for avoiding stale data, like can you like clarify a little bit more?
So we're saying that we want the top posts in the past 24 hours, right? First of all, let's go back to the strategy that you're using to collect those posts, 25 posts, and then how would you make sure that you are constantly giving back? If the user is visiting Reddit 5 times a day, each time I'm assuming that those 25 posts are going to have to be fresh, right? Yeah.
Right. You mean fresh as in like they should be like different from one another, or
if there are changes to what the top 25 posts are for this user, then yes, they should be different.
Okay, gotcha. I see what you mean. Yeah, so I think like the easy solution for this would just be to I guess like to generate the feed like on demand. Like basically when the user visits Reddit, we would like at that point in time like have the feed service, call the post service, get the like latest like 24-hour posts, and then like rank them accordingly, send them back to the user. Yeah, by doing like that generation on demand, it would ensure that the user will have no stale data, but it would also mean that like that might be like kind of like taxing like for like our backend to do that, given like all the number of like page hits that we have.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that we could possibly implement it in a better way. Let's see. We could have just like off the top of my head, I'm thinking of like having like a cache. So maybe like when a user visits Reddit like for the first time that day, yeah, if the user visits Reddit for the first time that day, then we would like do like this like online generation of like their feed, and then like cache that result. If the user like visits in like the next like minute or two, we can just like serve like that feed from the cache.
Okay, so do you have any strategies to not tax the backend so much?
Right. So I'm thinking like the first thing is that we probably don't have to like.
Hold on. Does anybody else? It's sort of like, you know, in those horror movies when they're like, "Oh, it's behind you! Watch out!" I kind of want to shout the answer at the screen, but does anybody else also have an answer for this? Like, this is kind of nerdy fun that I want to see if anybody else is thinking the same thing I am before we get to the the part where he comes up with the answer. Or, what do we think so far? How's he doing? Store some data in the browser cache. That one's an interesting choice. I was thinking, and I don't know, he'll probably come out with it. He'll probably come out with it right after this, but I thought, if you had CDN caching, or I thought if you had something that ran, let's say every 5 minutes, if it ran every 5 minutes and designed the top 25 posts in every subreddit, then you wouldn't have to, like a cron job that predetermines those. So there's no actual calculation going on during any individual page load. It just sort of yanks it back because it's pre-calculated. Yeah.
Look at
like a Redis
in the post database. Maybe we can cache
or Redis to store the
the top post per subreddit. And that would allow
and he
us
just
to,
said it
on kind of like a daily basis, or every couple hours, and that would allow us to when a user makes a request to Reddit's homepage, we can just fetch those top posts from all the subreddits that they're subscribed to, instead of looking at the entire post database across all the hundreds of millions of posts, and just rank those top posts accordingly.
Okay.
And we could have a crawler that would do this kind of caching, and this crawler could crawl every couple hours or so per subreddit. Actually, just a quick question: do you know how many subreddits there are on Reddit?
Let's assume for our purposes around 2 million, but I also would say not all of them are active at the same time, so I'll assume 130,000 or so are active.
Okay, gotcha. Right, so that's I guess that's really important to know that only a small portion of of all subreddits are active subreddits. So maybe we can just do crawling on these active subreddits, crawl the top posts in the last 24 hours of these active subreddits, and keep track of those. And then for non-active subreddits, we can maybe just if non-active subreddits wouldn't have any new posts, we can just exclude them from being fetched for our homepage purposes.
And how are you differentiating between whether a subreddit is active or not?
I'm thinking we could have another layer of crawling. I guess for this one, maybe once every day at a much slower cadence that checks, does this subreddit have any new posts? If it does have a new post, or maybe if it does have a new post, then we can check this subreddit as active. We can move it to the active subreddits category. Otherwise, it would just be considered non-active.
Okay.
What if you could control the web with your mind? What if telekinesis?
So, I guess having that cache, we can just add that in right here. Then let me move these two. Post cache, and we would have a crawler that populates this cache. From the post service. Okay.
Okay.
I think this is pretty much it for the design. Then do you have any other questions?
I think it's a good place to stop. I want to ask you, Kevin, what do you think is the most challenging part about approaching questions like this?
I think just keeping track of all the different components of the system, keeping track of all the different requirements. That is pretty challenging. But I think just the more system designer you do, the more experience you have, the better you get over time.
Yeah, and the devil is in the details for system design. So I think you did a good job in kind of highlighting the little things that you wanted to add to the system, starting from the load balancers that you addressed right from the beginning, the sharding strategy that you wanted to use, and then caching at the end. So it's these little things that you kind of add to a system that convey to an interviewer that you've thought about this and you know what you're talking about, and you have ideas for how to design a really robust system.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much for being with us today, Kevin. This was great, and I hope you build the next Reddit. And good luck with your upcoming interviews.
Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons below to let us know that this video was valuable for you. And of course, check out hundreds more videos just like this at tryexponent.com. Thanks for watching, and good luck on your upcoming interview.
There we go. Yay! I thought that one was really good. I had watched some of their other system design interviews, but that one was really new for me as well. So I enjoyed that. Did you both like that as well? Yeah, it was interesting. And Pebs, for sure, I think if you do start going out and interviewing, you are going to likely see a system design interview come to you versus versus a newer programmer who may have a right. It's so much easier than. Well, I mean, it's hard and easy at the same time. Like, I think if you want to talk about the interview process as trying to draw out a signal as to whether somebody is right. Okay, you failed FreshBooks because you just hadn't done the process of system design. Yeah, and I really think that going through all of this stuff helps me understand. Yeah, you really have to get the low-level details, especially that spot that piece right at the beginning where he was calculating the number of bytes of a, oh, this is my data model, and the number of bytes in my data model is, I've got, 50 bytes in the title. I've got 100 bytes in the URL. I've got, 10 KB in the image, and asking things and calculating the number of hits per day. And for more tech-focused companies that do the system design interview, for the people that are sort of disruptors in the big tech space, this is the kind of engineering that they're really interested in looking for versus, sort of some other places may have antiquated hiring practices, and thank God they do, because I wouldn't have had a job for the last 10 years if I hadn't have gotten through that. And in all fairness, 10 years ago, it really was a different landscape. Like, it is very, very clear that the system design interview is brand new. It wasn't part of the interview 10 years ago. I mean, maybe somebody would do it. But it's also, many people are saying that the system design interview gives much more of what they call signal. So the terminology they use is, it's sort of like signal to noise ratio. And if you are providing signal, you are providing clear information that you are a strong programmer or a strong technical developer or strong engineer. Whereas if you are providing a lot of noise, it's a deliberate piece of terminology, I think, that says, we're not saying that you're not a good programmer. We're not saying that you're a bad programmer. We're not saying that you're not good at your job. We're saying in the 45 minutes to an hour that we had allocated, we are not seeing the evidence that you are strong, right? And that's a different way of framing it, and I think it is a lot kinder to say, we're not seeing the signal. I'm sure it's there, is the implication, but there we go. So there's the story. Next up, do we have anything else we want to say about the system design interview before we move on to part 2, which is I was going to pull out a problem that I did in the week. Oh, you know what? We have not been looking at our guide. Because I write the guides every week. This is week 6. I want week 7. So this is timed practice. That's week 6. Go to week 7. We will talk about what our learning objectives were for the day. So number 1, most importantly, was getting a sense for the system design interview. And then the second was, I thought, some live coding practice, which is why we have the code problem. So in leetcode, let me bring this up. I actually wrote a solution earlier, so I'm going to delete what I have there. Public list node. Here we go. So here is the problem, and here, I can do this. So I will paste this into, actually I could paste this into VS Code because you are both connected. // here's the URL. We don't actually need session chat open because we're here. And now Rajat, do I have to make a second file for you? Let me see if I can do that. So I have to have it. No, you both have it. So I thought it might be fun, and you can do that. You can do this in your own window. But one of the things that we can do, I'll give you this sort of template piece as well. Is this? Oh, that's program for JavaScript. Rajat, if you would like to do it in JavaScript, that is fine as well. But I thought it would be fun if you try and solve the problem, and when you want to run the compilation, or when you want to see what your score is, and we can sort of share I can copy your code and paste it across over here, and we can sort of run the tests together. So like, I don't know, I think this is fun. Maybe in theory you could type stuff. Are you both read write? Here we go. I don't know why it's not letting two of you read write at the same time, is it? Yes? Rajat's going. And here, let me get the JavaScript one for you as well. There you go. Oh, see? This is going to be so much fun. Here. But I can't, because it's currently syntax highlighting for C#. I can't have two types in the same file. But here, Rajat, you can do the JavaScript one down there. I'll take out the comment. Or you can do it in leetcode, and just when you have finished your code, yeah, that's probably better. You can do it in leetcode, and when you've finished like a test run, you can paste it into the text thing, and then I can paste it into the thing, into the leetcode, and we can all see it together on screen. And so we can, because this is the problem with last week's show, was Josh would have to take a screenshot of his score, and it was just a pain. But this is one where we can actually share each other's results and talk about how to improve on our live code. It looks like you both have access to that, so there we go. And I'm also going to set a timer. I just have to find out how to set a timer. Set on-screen timer for alarm clock app. Okay, now I was thinking either 30 minutes or 45. 45 minutes brings us up to the end of the day. What do we think? Do we want 45 minutes of trying to get the solution, or 30? I'll start on 30 and we can add time. Obviously, this is just for fun, so like, although it's just for fun because we're just doing it together, but like in a live code interview situation, this is what it's like. They say, okay, here's your timer. Your timer has started. And then they poke you with a cattle prod and tell you that you're dumb for the whole time. Trust me, I've been there. It's the worst. Or at least that's how I feel in my heart. And while you're all doing that, I am going to do... I'm going to do one that I haven't done before. So... or at least while you're doing the startup. Ooh. Oh no, this is more fun. We'll watch Pebs. And Rajat, you're doing yours in the in LeetCode, and I can just paste it across when you come along. Oh no! Oh, Pebs, are you saying you don't want to be the star of the show? That's fine. I don't want you to be like nervous or anything. I'll keep you covered up. Just speak up in chat when you're ready to have the code pasted in. Yeah, we could do that too. Yeah, I don't want you to get shy. But my problem is that I've already solved it, and it is super, super edge casey. And so it's like part of the fun of this one. It took me way longer to solve it than you would think, because part of the problem of this one is it's like just so edge casey. Okay, well, yeah, we'll watch then. And we'll read along and we'll play. So, head.next is not equal null, remove element. So you're starting with a recursive process, and there's a next element, then go to the neighbor. If the current value is val, then we need to delete it. All right, so I can do some of the test cases. Actually, this one of the things that you would be asked to do is come up with test cases. Typically, they will do just like in the leetcode. They will give you. Oh, where is the one that I'm working on here? Sorry. Oh, here it is. So. But there are others to watch out for, and they go stuff like now. Here, well. Oop. I actually lost my submission. Here we go. There we go. Okay. Let me see. To be clear, this one took me, it looks like it took me 45 minutes from the first attempt to the last. So I was, you know, it's, yeah, roughly 45. It's for fun. It's just for fun. So yeah, so the question of do you want to do recursion or just a loop? I did. Let me check what my solutions were. I did it twice. I think, yeah, I just did a while loop. I started with recursion, and I found, did I? No, I actually started with a while loop too. One of the things, yeah. Well, see, and Rajat, that's a really good point, and it's what this is making sure that you do is actually do this stuff, because this is what's going to happen to you in a real interview situation. You're going to go in, this is a place, you don't want this job. You know, there is no consequence to trying this right here and now, and we're all just learning. At the end of the 30 minutes, and I saw, as I said, it took me about 40 minutes or 45 minutes to do this last time on my own, but I have the answer ready to go. And so, like, don't, you know, this is the non-pressure pressure situation, so that we start to become more comfortable with the process. For each node in the linked list, it has a reference to the next, yes, in element.next. So, but the linked list, the trick is the linked list does not have a reference to the previous. So you have to travel through and know what you're doing, you know, and think of it like a step. You have to think a step ahead, but it's just it's a really good problem. Anyways, I'll stop talking because you should be concentrating as well. But yes, it's absolutely. And so one hint here for Pebs is don't be afraid to do more than one loop. So one of the things you could do is you could not start your main loop until you get to the first element that doesn't have to be removed. So you go, yeah, wall head dot, yeah. And you also want to think, Pebs, about what are you going... Yeah, I did that so many times when I was doing it too. And so bless you for making me feel better about... Like, I would write the entire program. I would go, oh no, this whole thing is wrong. Let me start again. And so you want to think about the fact that you actually have to return something from the end of this. So, yeah. Right. Right, because in example 2, it's quite clearly possible that you can get a null element in the first position of your linked node. Head.next.val equals head.val. So how are we doing? I have been trying to set this up. So let's talk through what we have. So we first set the current element to the head.next. We set the so we are starting, if we had a list like here. Right. So right? Now, is that current element, or if I recall, it was, so there's current element. Current element can be null. Current element dot next can be null, which means you're at the end of the array, or the end of the linked list. Then, actually, current element dot value is always populated if current element is not null. So those are the two exit conditions of consequences. The node that I am currently on is null, or the next node is null. Additionally, I don't see you have it. I can still see you typing. I can still see you. Oh, Twitch audio went away. Okay. Okay. That's strange. Let me check. I'm going to check to see if my... Let me check. We'll check. Okay, so... Oh, okay. Okay. There we go. So what I was saying, Pebs, was there are sort of two conditions that you want to watch out for, right? There is the condition where there's the condition where the current element is null, but you could also have current dot next is equal null, meaning we're at the end of the linked list. Okay, so this is the case for the final element. Ah, perfect. Yes, you have that. Yes. Correct. Correct. You have that. So if the current element value is equal, or the current element dot value is, then you update the previous element, and then you update this, and if the head dot value equals value, then head equals head dot next. Do you want to try this? Or you just let me know when you want to try it and see how it goes. It's here. So Rajat, if you just paste yours down below as a comment, we'll drop it in. So here we go. We're gonna paste in. We're gonna paste in this one from Pebs. C#. Oh, it got my answer. It put my answer back. I feel like, or I don't know. That might be here. So we're gonna run Pebs. I'm gonna see how we do. Oh, you did it. You did it on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, no, paste it in the here. So yeah. Okay. So I want to let's try a full submission for Pebs. And this is where I feel like I want to go show you all of my errors as well. Why did that? Okay. So for Pebs, I had this one broke for me as well, but it's like, so if, anyways, you can see what the, well, the funny thing is, I don't think that failing the submission the first time is a problem. Like, I don't think anybody judges you for... I don't think anybody judges you on the algorithm test if you are doing sort of like a live coding pair programming thing. For getting it wrong the first time in a case where there are edge cases. But, oh, I've got a heck of a sneeze coming on. Okay, so we're going to go try rejats. Here we go. Remove elements. I paste that, and we'll run the code to see how you do. Oh, you both did it. Okay, let's try this. Try rejats did the full. Whoa, good work. And let's look at your details. Now, Rajat, did you run this locally a few times to make sure that you got it right? Because it does get a lot easier when you're not under the extreme pressure situation hot seat that Pebs was under there. Yeah, so you ran it directly on but you tested that before you gave it to us, right? So that's the sort of key. Yeah. So we're not criticizing. It's not a criticism of Pebs that you came in with one that was working, because we are. But let's look at the solution here, and then we'll say so. Right. While the head isn't null, and right, that's true. So while the head is not null, because we're in JavaScript and this is sort of truthy, so if it's undefined, it comes through, and the value equals value, then we just update from the beginning of the line. So it's like, if this was the input we had, we would go delete, 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 because the head isn't null. And then this is where we would start the next part of the road. So while the current node exists and the current node dot next exists, if the current node dot next value is equal to value, oh, we're scrolling up somehow. Oh, that's cool. I guess we all have power to scroll. So while the current so then you adjust it to the next dot next, and otherwise you keep going, and then you return the head. So, no, that's okay. I mean, certainly we are learning how to use this whole editing interface, and I wonder if, like, is it possible to set it up so two windows are running at the same time? Because if I could do like a split to the right, does this work? So like I can read this one and then you can read that one. I think. Maybe. Yeah, okay. So how are we doing on our timer? 47. I'm actually really impressed that Pebs got, because like, look, if you look at all of my wrong answers, I had a lot of them. But the algorithm is pretty much the same. Where is my code? Actually, Rajats is quite a bit more elegant in some ways. What is this? Do. Okay, stop. Okay, close. Oh no, am I stuck with this forever? How do I turn off the alarm? Oh, here it is. Okay. Oh, okay. So you used pen and paper. That's a good hint as well, right? Like, so yeah, draw the nodes, adjust the pointer, and think your way through and write the code. Well, that's a really good hint because you could be doing that in the interview. You could have a pen and paper beside you, and get through it. So, but like, if we compare yours to mine, like, yours was so much better on that front. And then, well, the current dot next does not equal null. So, I mean, I suspect that Peb's issue here was just an was at least the first one that happened was just this, right? So it was, so we can actually go back to that submission and try submissions, runtime error, edit code. We can just add that if statement there and see how much further we get in C#. And then so we submit the code. We'll try that again. Oh, yeah, and then it gets harder from there. Like, this is when I said this one was super edge casey, I had this same problem where I would go through, I would write a bit, and I would each time, here we go. So I had wrong answer for this one, and then wrong answer for, I just had wrong answer after wrong answer after wrong answer. And so that is, oh, Josh, you're here. Right. Yeah. This one was so edge casey, which is part of the reason I chose it for tonight, because I've been doing, like, here you go. Like, there are 66 test cases, and each one has a different sort of gotcha as part of it. And part of the reason I chose this one for tonight was because it is classed as an easy solution, but it is so edge casey that I thought it was, it was just really good. It's really good because it gives you that sort of insight into the kinds of things that you have to think about in the algorithm situation, for like an interview algorithm situation, versus the kinds of things you have to think about in your day-to-day. Because in your day-to-day, you have you have more than 30 minutes to do it, right? So it's, you not only do you have more than 30 minutes to do it in your day-to-day job, but you have a team of other people that run through QA with you. Like, it's just interviewing, being good at interviewing is not the same necessarily as being good at your job, because they take away so much. And just testing these things out is, Josh, are you going to have one to try and submit for us? I thought after last week was so much fun that we could compare scores. 100 milliseconds for, like, I'm really impressed with this one. 50%. My scores, this was my best one, 124. Interesting. 43 versus 28. What's this one? Okay, so this one was mine. Like 13% I was better than 13%, but Rajat on the JavaScript beat 50%. Oh. And what's your memory? Your memory, yeah. So, there's not going to be enough. There's not going to be enough time for another one, but those were, I think. I don't know. Was that fun? How did you feel about doing that? How did Pebs feel? You were really in the hot seat there, so it was maybe a little more nerve-wracking, but hopefully that kind of safe pressure where you can, you know, and the only other thing that I think, it was fun. Good. Yeah. Yeah, good. Yeah, and I guess I kind of did spring it on you, and that's true. I think the one thing that yeah, and actually, because they have the audio situation, it might also, and I don't know how do I stop this, but I thought, it's saying I have to click allow access. I thought one of the things that might also be good in terms of an audio session, pair programming a medium or hard, yeah, that might be interesting. The audio session might be interesting if you're comfortable with it, because one of the things you have to do. Oh, let me stop that. I'm sorry. How do I hang up on myself here? Oh, that's mute. Am I mute now? Is that better? Unmute myself. How do I stop? This is how you stop the call. Because one of the other skills we have to work on, if we want to get through these programming interviews in this pair programming style, is we want to work on being able to talk through the lines of code that we're writing as we're writing, because the interviewer is, my screen has stopped as well. We want to talk about what we're doing, what we're coding as we're coding it, because why is this broken? Oh, there it is. Yes, I'm back. I'm a human again. As opposed to a frozen image of a guy with his mouth slack-jawed open. Right, because the interviewer wants to know what your thinking is, and that's part of the communication process. Some of you might not be as comfortable going on an audio chat and talking in real time. But if you are, nice work, Josh. 100 milliseconds and 44 megabytes would have you right on par with Rajat's solution, which is also right on par with everyone else. I would love to know how these ones did down here. Like, what did they do? What did they do to get that good? Anyways, yes, so an algorithm practice in that pair programming, that sort of live thing where you're talking it through, getting that sort of real world practice so that when you are in a real interview with whatever, it's not a completely new skill, like a muscle that has not been ever exercised. No need to be on a camera. I don't even know how I would set that up right now. I don't see it in the side. But anyways, that's the story. I think that's similar for next week. I would want to do one more system design, interview, video, and then maybe another round of questions. And that makes up, I think, a reasonable amount of professional development time. If everybody else likes that format, then we can call it a night with 15 minutes to spare. And I'll hang around a bit to hear your feedback or suggestions. I like the idea of a medium if we are both talking to each other, right? So we're going through the ideas and suggestions. Yeah. Be careful, it's going to take you another 30 minutes is what happened to me. I thought I would knock it out in 15. Yeah, the system design part is really eye-opening. But yeah, I thought that thing would take me it says easy. It's going to take me 15 minutes. I'm not going to have a problem. And then every one of those, and each time you submit, a new edge case comes along, and it really gets to you. But I think doing these together is really fun, and it's really motivating to do it together. So it sort of keeps us, keeps us pushing these things. And as we're saying, it's like this linked list thing. And so like the next challenge is remove an element, delete node in a linked list. All of these other related challenges help you see the patterns that come out of this. And that means that when you when you go into the interview, there's only as we say, there's only 50 types of these questions that they can ask. And so if you keep doing these, you just go, oh, I did something just like that the other day. Bop, 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 bop. And they think, oh, you're so good. Then the level of quality that you produce in your algorithm result directly impacts the amount that they negotiate for in terms of the salary level that they peg you at. Or so I'm told. This is what I read on these Team Blind. Yeah, like in university. So right. So if you get an A in your course versus a B in your course, right? Whereas in this case, if you're getting a job at Google, it's like $180,000 or $250,000 a year. So it's like, it's just the quality of your algorithm in terms of time and space complexity is, and just your interview performance is graded, and the grade is the salary that they come out and negotiate for you. Although that is also affected by whether or not you have counter offers from their major competitors. So if you go to your Facebook interview and you get the Facebook job offer, but you have your Google interview the next day and you get the Google offer, and then you're talking to both of them and you say, oh, well, Facebook's offering me this much. And then Google says, okay, we'll match that. So there are a number of factors that go into determining where they put you in their salary scales. But one of the major factors is your interview performance in terms of the algorithm. Your system design can have a massive impact on the salary that they peg you at. And that's the story. And if anybody wants to work at Zen Insurance, please feel free to reach out. There are a number of roles open that, although I don't actually have my meeting with the recruiters, so I don't know the exact role that I'm going to help recruit for, but certainly if you go on their site and you see a list of things that you like, you can apply directly and then let me know, and I will let them know that I spend time talking to you, and I think that you would be worth talking to. Anyways, that's the week. that's the week. Next week we are going to do more of this, and then we'll go from there. So thank you so much, and we will talk to you again soon.